This is a popular Christian weak ass argument where my man's saying that the events of my life, I realize either you don't know half of what you're saying or you're just plain lying. Oh my gosh, the events of his life. Well, I guess that makes him the authority. And in another comment, he said this in relation to the video I did about the children being traumatized in the church with all that so called Holy Ghost filled spirit screaming, hollering, jumping around, emotional BS. He said that when I look back at my life, I can confidently, with 100% say that Mr. Coach is full of bullshit. This never happened to me and my kids. What a heap of horse shit. Again, because it didn't happen in Conrad's life, then it's a bunch of bullshit. Mm-mm-mm. Conrad, I would wager that you've never been molested. So does that mean it's never happened? I would wager that you've never been murdered. So does that mean it never happens? I would wager that you've never been in a house when it's been broken into. So it never happened. You've probably never been in a plane crash. So that never happens either. You see, this weak Christian argument that because it never happened in their lives, that that's supposed to mean that it doesn't happen at all. When we know, and there are plenty of videos that show people in churches hooping, hollering, running around in circles, falling out, dancing, all these kind of emotional responses, that it happens. It happens. And the fact that you say that according to your life and the events of your life is a validation that your deity, your belief is the true and correct one, well, guess what? A person who is Islamic would say the same thing. A person who is Buddhist would say the same thing. I personally know many people who are in this, and they say the exact same thing. I remember a gentleman who, during a certain time frame of the year, was praying that his wife and children would get their visas to come to America. And in his prayer to, I believe, Lamishka, his wife and daughter got their visa right after that moon cycle season for Lamishka coming down and providing abundance. And he gave all the credit to his personal deity aspect of the deity of Brahman, because that's what Lamishka, and I'm probably saying the name wrong, is. It's a personal, it's an aspect of Brahman that they personalize into their own families, as with all the other, the majority of all the other deities in the um, in this religion cult slash culture. Uh, but many give credit to Krishna for many of the great and wonderful things that happen in their life. And guess what? Before Christianity and Islam became dominant religions in the world, when something great happened to a farmer in Egypt, then they would give praise to Renenutet because Renenutet protected their crops. Where does that belief come from with Renenutet? It is because she is represented with a cobra head and a woman's body. Because cobras were left alone in the fields in order to kill any of the rats and other animals that would take over the crops. And so they saw that as a blessing and would give praise and honor to Renenutet for that. The Egyptian king Djoser went down the Nile, well, up the Nile actually, went up the Nile, but it was south, and rebuilt a temple to Hamun in order to prevent a 7-year drought. And he gave credit to that deity for preventing the drought from a dream that he had. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Even though it was about 1,000 years before Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. So your life experience has absolutely zero credibility or bearing on whether or not a religion is true or false. It is really your own beliefs and your own actions and the actions and beliefs of others that determines what happens in your life. You see, if you are working for a company and then that company decides to merge with another company, You are either kept or you are fired based on the will of the people who are in charge of the merger. Your financial hardships that may follow thereafter is based on how you kept and did your finances prior to that happening. Now, if you were on my 70-10-10-10 plan for the last 20, 30 years, then you'll be in a good position to take your severance pay and have time to find another job or start your own company, whatever you wanted to do. And you may not suffer through any financial hardship, but it's because you took measures prior to ensure your stability before that happened. Now, if you were living paycheck to paycheck and that happens to you, then it is your decisions accompanied with their decision that is now causing you to be in a financial hardship. You see, cause and effect is always at play and is the true power of how the world and the universe functions, because there is no such thing as luck, chance, or miracles, but yet there is only cause and effect supported by the law of mentalism, vibration, rhythm, polarity, gender, all the seven hermetic laws. That is why your life has went the way it has went. That is your life experiences that you are misinterpreting to be the works of some deity and the will of some deity. Always remember, my guy, even though you write the same comment over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.